For this video, we are still going to be looking at lesson 1.1 simple interest, but we're going to be focusing on different examples. So just a note, for learning math, the best thing to do is to practice example after example after example, because every one is going to be just a little bit different, and the more you do, the better off you will be. So looking at our first example here, we have Sam invested $1,500 in a savings account, earning him simple interest at 8%, paid semi-annually for 2.5 years. Determine the value of the investment at each half year until she withdraws the money. So when you're doing simple interest, just a reminder that every calculation is going to be based on the original amount. So in this case, the 1,500. So what I've done is I've set up a table that I'm going to put my calculations into. So year zero, I started with the 1,500. And so my first job is to figure out how much interest she's going to earn to get to my 0.5, so my half year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down everything that I know and what I have to find. So when we're looking at this, we need to know what my principal is, my P. I need to know what my interest rate, which is R. I need to know the length of my term, so the number of years, which is my T. And I'm going to be finding my interest, or the amount I made on this investment. So my P, my principal, is the 1,500. I should actually say the number right, it's 15,000, sorry. And so my interest is 8%. And a reminder, your percent needs to be as a decimal to go into the formula. So 8% as a decimal would be 0.08. Again, another reminder, if you're not sure how to do that, you just take 8 divided by 100. And then for this one, so my whole thing is going to be 2.5 years. However, what I'm looking at is these half-year intervals. So my term in this case is going to be half a year, so 0.5. And then the interest rate is what I need to find. The amount of interest I earned is what I need to find. And so I'm going to start with my formula. So I is equal to PRT. I don't know I, that's what I'm finding. My principal is 15,000. My R is 0.08. And my T is 0.5. I'm going to bring out my calculator and I'm going to punch it all in. So I got 15,000 times 0.08 times 0.5, which works out to be $600. So every half a year is going to be $600. So when I go to my little table that I've created here, each increment is going to be $600 because every half a year we're doing a simple interest calculation. So that simple interest calculation is going to be based on the starting amount. So that's 15,000. So every half a year, we're going to add on the $600. So on and so forth. So I don't actually have to do that formula each time. I already know that for my half year, I'm going to make that 1,600. So to go from year 0 to year 0.5, I'm going to start with my 15,000. And I'm going to add the 600 to it. So we're at 15,600. And then I'm going to add another 600 to it. So I'm at 16,200. And I'm going to do that again. So I'm adding 600 each time. So now I'm 16,800. And I'm just going to keep doing that over and over, adding 600 each time. So another 600 would put me at 17,400. Another 600 would be 1,800. Another 600 would be 19,200. sorry, made a mistake there. 1,800 or 18,000 plus another 600 would be 18,600. The next one would be the 19,200. And then we have 19,800. And to finish off would be 20,400. So yeah, again, all I'm doing is adding 600 each time. So at the end of 4.5 years, this person would have 20,400. Well, example is done. Okay, let's try another one here. So example 2, we have 5,000 is invested at 8% simple interest paid annually. So how long will it take for the future value of the investment to grow to 8,000? So I'm going to write down what I got again. So need to find P, which is my principal, R, which is my interest rate, T, which is my term, and I, which is how much interest I'm going to earn. So in this case, my principal, so my starting amount was 5,000. My interest rate is 8%. So change that to a decimal, so 0.08. The term, in this case, is what I'm trying to find, so I don't know what that is yet. And now for the interest earned, I have to be careful because my final investment here is this 8,000, but I started already with 5,000. So the interest I earned is the difference between the two. So what I'm going to do to find my interest, I'm going to take the 8,000, so what I ended up with, and I'm going to minus what I started with. So in this case, if I do 8,000 minus 5,000, I get 3,000. So the extra money, the interest I earned on this is 3,000. Now I'm going to go to my formula. So I is equal to PRT. I have my interest this time, so I'm going to write in the 3,000. I have my P, my principal, which is 5,000. I know what my R is. My interest rate is 0.08. And my T, I don't know, so that's what I'm going to find. So now I have to use my algebra skills here to be able to solve this problem. So I'm doing 5,000 times 0.08 times T. So to cancel that out on the right side, I have to do the opposite. So the opposite of timesing is dividing. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to divide by the 5,000 and the 0.08 to cancel that out on the right side. And whatever I do to the right side of an equation, to make sure everything stays equal, I have to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to divide by that 5,000 and the 0.08. Okay, now the trick here is you got to be careful how you punch this into your calculator because it is very easy to make an error at this point. So I'll show you by bringing up my calculator. And so I'm taking this 3,000 and I'm dividing by 5,000 times 0.08. So when I punch this into my calculator, I can't do 3,000 divided by 5,000 times 0.08 because that's going to cause an error because I'm dividing by whatever this works out to be. So the best way to do this is you start with your top, so your 3,000. I'm going to divide by, and now what's happening underneath, I am going to put in brackets. So I'm going to put bracket. Now I have 5,000 times 0.08. And that gets me what I want. So in this case, it worked out to be 7.5 years. Now there is a bit of a problem with this one because, real world situation here. These are just paid annually. And so in our calculations, to get to that 3,000 worth of interest, or the final value of 8,000, it's going to take 7.5 years. But this is not being paid out in half years. It's only being paid out in full years. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to round it up. So instead of 7.5, we're going to make it 8 years. So that finishes A. Now looking at B, we have what is the rate of return. So what we're going to do with this one is, because we are doing a rate of return, so rate of return is your interest that you earned over your principal times 100. And so what we're going to do for this one is we are going to look at the interest that would have been earned at the 8-year mark. And again, we're not focusing on that 7.5 years because it is paid annually. It can't be paid in half a year. So we're going to do the full calculation here. So I need my P, my R, my T, and my I. So my principal, my starting amount was the 5,000. My interest rate is the 8%. So as a decimal, that's 0.08. My term, so I'm going to use it from A, which is 8 years. And I'm going to figure out what interest that's going to be. So start with my formula. I is equal to PRT. And so my I don't know, my P is 5,000. My R is the 0.08, and my T is 8 years. I'm going to pull up my calculator. I'm going to punch this in. So 5,000 times 0.08 times 8 equals 3,200. So after the 8 years, this person has earned an extra $3,200. So I'm going to use that to figure out my rate of return. So for this, I'm just going to use R.O.R for rate of return. And that's equal to my interest over my principal. And then we're going to times that by 100. So my interest that I earned on this is the 3,200. My principal, my starting amount was the 5,000, and I'm going to times that by 100. So pull up my calculator again. I'll move it so you can see it. So we're doing 3,200 divided by 5,000 times 100. So my rate of return is 64%. So basically, I've earned an extra 64% compared to what I started with. Okay, example 3, and this will be the last example for this video. We have 25,000 is invested in a simple interest Canadian savings bond that pays interest annually. If the future value is 29,375 at the end of 5 years, what is the interest rate? Just going to make a note here. It still pops up in our textbook, so we're still going to look at it, and the investment calculations is similar to other things that we're doing and other real-world examples, but technically these Canadian savings bonds don't exist anymore. Basically, it was a special investment that you could do with the federal government, but they've done away with that a couple years ago now. But and math-wise, it works the same for any of our investments that we're looking at. So for this one, same idea. I write down what I'm looking for. So I need my P, I need my R, I need my T, and I need an I. So my principal amount is the 25,000. My interest rate, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find. My term is in 5 years. And my interest that I earned, so we have another problem like this where I'm given my future value, I'm given what I started with, and the difference between those two is my interest. So I'm going to take my 29,375 I'm going to minus my principal, so the 25,000, and what's left over is the amount of interest I've earned. So in this case, 4,375. So just to say that again, the extra money that I earned on this investment was that 4,375. Okay, now going to my formula. I is equal to PRT. So I have my interest in this case, so 4,375. My principal was the 25,000. I don't know what my R is, and my T is 5. Say it again. For a question like this, we're going to have to pull out our algebra skills to be able to figure this out. Oop, wrong pen. There we go. And so I'm taking this R, I'm multiplying it by 25,005. So the opposite of that is to divide. So I'm going to divide by my 25,000 and my 5. Cancel it out on this side. Whatever I do to the right side of my equation, I have to do to the left side to keep everything equal. So I'm going to divide the 4,375 by the 25,000 and the 5. And so this is another one where you got to be careful. Make sure you're using your brackets appropriately. So to show you again, bring out my calculator. I'm going to take that 4,375 divided by, and now I'm going to put the bottom into brackets. So divided by the bracket 25,000 times my 5, close bracket. And so I get this 0.035 is equal to my R. So that's my percent as a decimal because that's how it works in the formula. So I'm going to take that and times it by 100, and that'll get me my actual percent, so 3.5%. So the interest rate for this investment was 3.5%. So in summary, simple interest is determined only on the principal of an investment. So you always go back to the beginning. The amount of simple interest earned on an investment can be determined using the formula I is equal to PRT. And I is the interest, P is your principal, R is the interest rate, and T is the term, so the number of years. The future value of an amount of an investment that earns simple interest can be determined using the formula A is equal to P plus PRT. So A represents the future value, and your P is the principal, and this PRT is the interest that you figured from the previous formula. And that is the end of our example video.